Today we are taking a look at a cycling kit from a brand called Souke, and we will take a look at the materials, the construction, and especially the performance, as well as the price, which you will be really surprised about. So why don't I change it to this kit? So we will go for a little spin and I'll tell you more about this kit and what comes to my attention right away. So without further ado, let's go. Alright, time for a little break because it is so incredibly hot. Today here in central Switzerland it's about 32 degrees or so now. So without further ado, cheers! So, I wanted to take this break to tell you a little bit more about this Souke kit or Souke kit, whatever you want to call it. First of all, I think what you can see from the B-roll shots is that the fit is really nice. The arms are really tight and the material is very stretchy. Also the bibs is fitting quite well. What I also really like is the little rubber band here that keeps the bibs very much in place. That is very welcome. The pockets here are also really nice. They are quite stretchy, so you can fit a lot in there, but they are not loose or anything. So even your phone, even a banana, even some smaller items will not fall out the pockets at all. What I also like is that the scheme of the jersey is quite, I would say, vintage inspired. I've seen a couple of cycling kit brands are going in that direction, but the color combination of this faded orange, yellow type, and especially with the blue bibs, I think that goes pretty well together. So optics wise, I really like this kit. There's one thing I really don't like about this kit though, and that is this middle section here. You can see that the zipper is sort of split and there's two flaps on each side, but the flaps do not have any structure. So actually they, especially if you sit on your bike, you can see you have like a couple of little notches here. I would say other brands solve this problem a little better. So if I had a suggestion for an improvement, that would be definitely one. Something else that to me is not quite perfect is the length of the jersey. If I just stand like this, so just straight up, you can see that here is a little section that is sort of revealing my bibs. So if the torso of the jersey could be a little longer, I think that would be a bit helpful. On the other hand, you do get a little bit of air from the bottom of the jersey because there's this sort of mesh material with the little holes. So all in all, this is a kit that is definitely meant for summer. And yeah, that fits quite well with the situation in Switzerland right now. So for the temperatures here, I really like this kit. And I also really like this sort of base layer. As you can see on the B-roll shots, it's a very thin mesh-like material, but the mesh is very coarse, so to say. So the holes are quite big and it lets in quite a lot of air without being irritating or anything. So if you just open up the jersey just a little bit, you kind of get the perfect amount of wind on your skin if you need or want that. So that is really nice. In terms of fit of the bibs, I also have nothing to really complain about. The straps are very comfortable, they are very stretchy and they lay on your skin quite nicely, especially if you have a base layer under that. You don't feel the straps at all, not even if I'm moving like that or anything. So I really have to say that is perfect. In terms of padding for the bibs, I'm sparing you the full-on crotch shot, but I hope you can see it on the B-roll shots that the padding material is going quite far to the front. So the padding material of the bibs is a bit larger in length, so it kind of incorporates more of your area there. But in all honesty, I also didn't have any complaints wearing other bibs from Sirocco, for example, or other brands. But yeah, the bibs is very well constructed. We will go over that in detail in just a little bit. But yeah, for a hot summer day like today, this is quite the great kit. And also when we come to price, which is a bit later on, you'll see that this is really great value for money. So yeah, why don't I just finish this ride up and then we meet each other in the studio and go over some of the details. How about that? So without further ado, let's go. Before we continue, let me disclose to you that Souke was so kind as to send these products to me for free. but I haven't been compensated financially in any other way, nor will Souke see the video before you will see the video. So with that out of the way, let's continue. So first of all, let's take a look at the bibs. And as you know, this is a cargo bibs. So on each bib leg, you have a little cargo pocket here. Let's go over the construction quality. Let's start at the pockets here. And you can see that first of all, the pockets are very sturdy and they are also quite stretchy, but yet firm. So you see that they hold the items quite well. What I really like is also the design elements, that the Souke brand logo is in the pocket and not over the pocket. So if you have something in there, you don't really see the logo at all. Little bit of a subtle touch. So in terms of construction quality, yeah, I don't really have anything to complain about. It is really well made. I have ridden all of the items that we are talking about today for, I would say, about 400, 500 kilometers now. First of all, these straps, yeah, I said it in my ride review already, but they are super, super comfortable. They're sort of like this stretchy material. They also don't seem to lose their strength at all, especially if you have the base layer below that, you don't feel the straps at all, which is quite comfortable. Let's turn the bibs inside out and take a look at the construction in a bit more detail. The first thing that comes to mind is that the bib leg has this rubberized material that is quite common, but this rubber is quite strong. So there's no issue with a creeping bib leg or anything. Everything is very firm. When we come to the padding material, I'm also super happy. The longest ride I've done with this bibs was about 120 kilometers. And for those 120 kilometers, I've had no issues whatsoever. It is a very comfortable pad. And yeah, as with some of the other pads out there, it is a bit of a layered pad. So not all of the area has the same kind of strength in it or firmness, but yeah, towards the front it gets much more soft, and here where the sit bones are, it's a bit more dense, so it gives you, yeah, great support on your ride. Also something to note, none of these stitches came loose. There's no loose threads here at all. I hope you can see it on the B-roll shots, but everything is very neat and yeah, very high quality. And also the stitches, they feel super sturdy. So yeah, I have no doubts that these bibs will last a long time. Yeah, because this is a cargo bibs, you want to have the possibility to carry as much snacks, items, whatever you want with you as necessary. And what I feel like the bibs could have done a bit better is that some of the Sirocco bibs, for example, they have little pockets here as well. So that is slightly below your jersey here. You still have a little bit more space to put some extra snacks, maybe some ride utensils, maybe an inner tube or two. And this bibs unfortunately does not have that. The only two cargo pockets are here on each side. In general though, I really like the design. It's very minimalistic. The logos are quite hidden, and also the logo here on the back, that is not too obnoxious at all. This is a great quality bibs, feels great. And with that being said, we should come to the value for money, because that is quite insane with this bibs. So this bibs comes in at less than 70 US dollars. So about 69 USD for this great quality bibs with, yeah, pockets, with everything, with great construction quality, good materials. If you compare that to even the entry-level rougher cargo bibs, they are like 150 or so. This is, especially if you just want to try it out, maybe see if you like a cargo bibs, or if you need another bibs for the summer, I think you should really give these ones a try. They are well worth your money. I can really recommend those. All right. Let's get to the jersey. And first of all, I've already said it during the ride, but I really like the design of this jersey. It's sort of like vintage inspired, which I really like, especially with the blue bibs. That goes very well together. But apart from the design, let's take a look at the construction quality of this jersey. So let's zip it up. The first thing that really struck me when I used this jersey is that the material is very, very thin. So over the whole jersey, you have a material that has like these little holes that make sweat evaporation, yeah, really easy. And also, in addition to that, it's a very light jersey. You can also see it here that it weighs very little. Another indication that it is a summer specific jersey is that below your armpits here, you have the same material that we will also see with the base layer here. In terms of stitching, in terms of threads, in terms of the whole construction quality of how the jersey is put together, I have nothing to complain about. You can see it here. There's no loose threads on the jersey either. Everything is stitched very well together. And even if you put a lot of pressure on these seams, they are not ripping apart. They are not even making a noise actually. And I'm pulling quite hard. So that is quite nice. Also with this, I have no doubt that the jersey will last a long time. If there's something I didn't like, it is two little things I would say. The first is very noticeable if I zip the jersey back up. And that is that the jersey has this double flap sort of mechanism here. And the double flap leads to, some pretty ugly creases if you sit on your bike, especially in a, relatively aero position. I think that could be done a bit differently, maybe with a one-sided flap that has a bit more structure to it, for example, or just omit the whole thing altogether. I think that would also be better. And you have also seen that if I stand straight up, the jersey is not that long. I would say the torso of the jersey could be, I would say 1 to 2 centimeters longer. It still fits very well, and it's a jersey that also, has a very aero fit to it. You can also see it by the arms here, for example, that, it is a very tightly looking, very neat aero jersey with the addition of being super lightweight, which I quite like. The pockets here in the back are also definitely large enough to put your phone in. I would say I have a normal iPhone 14, I think. The iPhone gets up until the ridge here. So I would say if it was possible to make these pockets a little bit deeper just to give your phone a bit more security, especially if you have a larger iPhone, I would say Souke, you can definitely, increase the depth of the pockets by maybe 2 centimeters as well, just to have a little bit more protection. When it comes to sizing, that might be something that you should watch out for, because the bibs, the jersey, and also the base layer that we are talking about in a second, all of those here are size M. And usually I'm a guy that wears size S with all of his sports clothing. This was the first brand where I had to size up a bit. Keep that in mind if you want to get a jersey like this. They are quite tight fitting, so maybe sizing up just a bit will still give you a very aero look, but you will not look like a pressed sausage, so to speak. The price of this jersey is about $100, which is not as crazy good value as the bibs, but for the material that has been used and for the attention to detail, I think it is still a very commendable price. And with that being said, let's get to the last item, and that is this base layer. And I usually never ride with base layers in the summer because I thought, well, the more material you have on your body, the hotter it gets. But this kind of base layer kind of changed my mind, because first of all, if you look at it in detail, it is a very, very, very thin mesh material that lets in a lot of air. And because it is so thin, it actually aids in sweat evaporation as well, because your sweat sort of like gets soaked up by the material, distributes a bit, and because the holes are so big and you have a lot of air ventilation, it just evaporates a bit better. Especially in combination if you wear this base layer and the jersey, you can just zip up the jersey and have the sort of wind on your skin, but not directly on your skin, but rather on this little thin mesh material. In terms of construction quality, there's not that much to say. I have nothing to complain about, but it's also a very simple construction. It's basically the same material all the way around. I really like the material. It feels super soft, and as I said, the holes are quite big, so for the summer it is perfect. The price for this is $50, which is quite a bit more than the Van Rysel one from Decathlon, for example. But I also have to say that the material from the Decathlon one is much worse. I've had it for 2 years now, and it is by no means as advanced, I would say, as this kind of material. This works much better. So if you're someone who likes to ride with a base layer or who wants to try out a base layer, check this one out. About $50. And with that being said, if you're interested in this kit or the brand Souke, please feel free to click the first link in the description down below. Keep in mind, it is an affiliate link, so everything you purchase through the link will give me a little kickback and help me and the channel out, just so you know that. I hope you've gotten anything out of the video. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe. And in any case, have a great week. Bye bye.